So there does seem that there is some internal movements, even if the Republicans are not yet saying anything out loud.
1 month and 73 executive orders since Mr. Trump took back the Oval Office. The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, keen to stress that record today.
Today marks 1 month of President Trump's return to the Oval Office, and there is no denying this administration is off to a historic start. The president has already signed 73 executive orders. That is more than double the number signed by Joe Biden and more than quadruple the number signed by Barack Obama over the same period.
That was Caroline Leavitt talking about the giddy month that we've all had. I mean, we're having problems keeping up here, Harriet. I'm sure that you have to get quite selective over there, don't you? Because you are living every twist and turn of it.
Yes, I think giddy is quite the word, really, isn't it? And in this press conference today, they were really triumphant about everything that they had achieved. Stephen Miller, who is one of Trump's senior advisors, said, Americans have never seen anything like it. And I think whatever your views on the Trump presidency, we can all agree on that.
Yeah, certainly. He's been hard at work. Caroline Leavitt also praised Donald Trump for hosting numerous foreign leaders in that last month as well, or in the last month as well. She looked ahead to Keir Starmer's visit to the White House next week.
In just 4 weeks, President Trump has already hosted the leaders of Israel, Japan, Jordan, and India. And next Monday, the president will host France's President Emmanuel Macron. And on Thursday, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit the White House as well.
Yeah, so Macron on Monday, Starmer on Thursday. How do they get a look in, Harriet? Is there a formula emerging as to how to get the most out of your meeting with Donald Trump, or does it just entirely depend on the hour and on the day?
Well, it's certainly a tricky one, isn't it? I think, when we were in the first sort of week or so, when we were looking at these tariffs, we saw the two competing approaches, which was Mexico and Canada. Now, neither of these countries have yet been to visit. Their leaders haven't been to visit Donald Trump. But Mexico was very conciliatory in terms of the language that Claudia Sheinbaum, the president, was using. Justin Trudeau, the Canadian prime minister, was much more aggressive and much more combative in his approach to dealing with Trump. So those are sort of the two ways that you go about it. Do you try and play nice to him and sort of flatter him? Which, of course, the late Shinzo Abe, the former leader of Japan, he was very good at that. He really became firm friends with Trump. Or do you try and sort of play hardball a little bit and show him that you won't be messed with it? So it's a big decision that I think a lot of countries around the world are debating right now how to go about that.
Yeah, President Macron has said this evening he plans to tell Donald Trump next week that he can't afford to be weak in the face of Vladimir Putin. I'll convince Trump we have shared interests, says Macron. I'm going to tell him you can't be weak with Putin. That's not who you are. It's not your trademark. It's not in your interest. This was in our live Q&A on X about Ukraine and European security. Macron said Trump is creating uncertainty because he wants to get a deal done quickly. I mean, this makes me nervous for Macron reading it, Harriet. I'm not sure about you. And look, I'm not going to kind of, psychoanalyze this too much. But for a world leader to address the leader of the free world and the fact that it's Donald Trump and say, you can't be weak with President Putin, that's not who you are. I think that's probably not quite the way to do it, is it?
Well, no. I mean, I think Macron is perhaps onto something in this idea of telling Trump that it is not in your interest and perhaps presenting that side of things. Certainly, there was plenty of people who were wanting to fact check Donald Trump yesterday when he said that Ukraine had started the war with Russia and when he called President Zelensky a dictator. But I think correcting him on things like that is not a way to his heart. He's not going to get that. But certainly you could try and spell out how it's in America's best interest to be a strong presence on the right side of history.
a lot of Donald Trump's key figures are criticising Volodymyr Zelensky for either not failing to take the opportunity for peace talks or to present a proper peace plan, or they're saying, as Mike Waltz, the US National Security Advisor, said earlier, that Ukraine's wrong to push back against Donald Trump's approach to peace talks with Russia. And this evening, I mean, really extraordinary, Harriet, from Elon Musk, who has essentially described Zelensky as despised in Ukraine again, and says Trump is right to ignore Zelensky and solve for peace independent of the disgusting massive graft machine feeding off the dead bodies of Ukrainian soldiers. I mean, it is a bit like Donald Trump and his henchmen. It does feel like that, and I'm trying to be fair, and I know this is politics, but there is a bit of that going on, it feels.
Yes, and I think the facts in all of this just get lost in the chaos, really, don't they? In the drama. I mean, the shock is so great that people don't really stop and think, is it true that Zelensky has single-digit approval ratings? I mean, it's not true, but Trump has said that, and he's got it in his head, and he will keep going with that, even though there's no factual basis to it. Musk, of course, unelected, doing what he wants, and it seems like he is just sort of the more extreme version of Donald Trump, if that's possible. Maybe that's a plan. Maybe there's some genius master plan to all of this, that Musk will say things that are incredibly extreme, then Trump will dial it back and take this peacemaker role. I mean, I don't know, but pretty inflammatory from Elon Musk and pretty unpleasant.
I know the Times has been very present at CPAC today, the Conservative Political Action Conference. There's a lot of movers and shakers there, a lot of people who lean towards the right or who have conservative values. We heard from Liz Truss a little earlier. Let's just get some or take some focus on the Vice President J.D. Vance, though. This is what he had to say.
I'll tell you the goals that animate President Trump's policy. It's really simple. He wants the killing to stop. He wants to bring lasting peace to Europe. He doesn't just want to stop it now and have the war restart a month from now. He wants to bring lasting peace to Europe because the president believes this, and he's absolutely right. Peace is in the interest of Russia. It's in the interest of Ukraine. It's in the interest of Europe. But most importantly, peace is in the interest of the American people, and he's going to fight for it for the remainder of his administration. Wherever war breaks out, he's going to be the president of peace.
Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of, he's not just talking about Ukraine, he then talks about the world. It's not enough to get a handle on Russia and Ukraine. Instead, he's going to be the president of peace, as proclaimed by J.D. Vance. I mean, there is a lot of bigging up going on there. And look, perhaps you'd expect that. It's good to have loyal people working with you, I suppose. Let's hear from Liz Truss. She made an appearance at CPAC too.
This is truly the golden age of America. But I'm sad to report that Britain is in the dark age. Everything that made Britain great is being destroyed by an establishment that hates Britain and hates the West.
Strong words from Liz Truss. We'll actually extend the conversation about her in our panel this evening with Edwina Curry and Rebecca Reid, because I'm interested in what she's got to say about the fact that we need a UK version of MAGA, and that might make you roll your eyes a bit. But there is some sort of credence to that, and we'll dig into that after 9 o'clock. But let's just return to what J.D. Vance has had to say. Look, there is... I mean, it is all 100% on side with Donald Trump. No one has spoken out against him. And you get the feeling that we'll have to go some way, Harriet, before anyone does. Everyone is absolutely, they might not be saying some of or quite going as vicious as he has done on some of the attacks of Volodymyr Zelensky. Some people might be being a little bit milder, but it is Team Trump all the way.
Yes, I mean, I suppose that is par for the course at CPAC because it is a gathering of conservative people. It's absolutely MAGA heartland right now. It wasn't always like that, but now with Trump, that's very much par for the course. So perhaps not surprising. But I think what is worth noting, I mean, critics of Donald Trump are really dismayed at how it seems that there is no pushback at all from the Democrats. They seem to be, their heads are spinning and they don't seem to be getting any traction on objecting to his policies or presenting an alternative. But what is interesting is that apparently Republican senators are quietly alarmed at what is going on. They're not saying it out loud, but they are certainly trying behind the scenes to limit, for instance, some of the power of DOGE, the Elon Musk agency. For instance, a young Republican senator for Alabama, Katie Britt, she was seen as a rising force in Republican politics. She delivered the rebuttal to the State of the Union. And she is quietly lobbying to keep federal funds for her state, which, of course, is a poor state in the Union and needs federal funds. Equally, in Kansas, a Republican senator is hoping to keep the funding for Kansas farmers, which goes to USAID feeding programs. So there does seem that there is some internal movements, even if the Republicans are not yet saying anything out loud.
And we are meant to hear from Elon Musk at CPAC tonight, aren't we, Harriet? I don't know if you're seeing some of the same reports that I am. At about 9:15 UK time, I understand that Elon Musk is going to make an appearance.
Yes, I mean, that will certainly be a highlight for the MAGA faithful. I think some of us have been surprised that Trump and Musk seem so far so united because they are, of course, two very big personalities. We saw how long Steve Bannon lasted in the previous administration. So Trump is not known for wanting to share the limelight. But so far, Elon Musk is managing to do it, is managing to stay in Trump's good graces. And Trump quite seems very much to enjoy having him around. So it'll be a barnstorming address from Musk, I'm sure.
All right, it's meant to take place shortly. If you are with us here on Times Radio, we'll keep you across that and just see if it happens as scheduled. We'll keep a close eye on it for you.